What up, guys? RaptueCity here, and welcome to it's episode 3 now of Let's Talk. I know it seems that I'm doing quite a lot of Let's Talks, considering the ratio now is being a bit weird with the Let's Talks. I've now got 3 Let's Talks, and by the time this video is up, I should have 2 Minecraft 360 videos up, and this will be yes, as I said before, this will be the 3rd Let's Talk. So the first one was based off Trauma, the TV series, and Silent Hill. The second one is based off a PSN game called Journey, which I hope you guys tried out because it's an amazing game. And now today's is, I'm not going to say it yet, I'm going to explain what the gameplay footage is. So if, probably most likely, a lot of you guys have played Call of Duty 4. And about 95% of you guys who have played Call of Duty 4 will probably remember the 2 sniper missions on the game, which are based in Pripyat, Chernobyl. And on the word Chernobyl, that's the topic of this video. It is both the Chernobyl disaster and the film which comes out this Friday, Chernobyl Diaries, made by the producer of Paranormal Activity. So I'll start off with Chernobyl first, so I can get the backstory out of the way, what the Chernobyl Diaries is based off, history-wise. So, Chernobyl, the Chernobyl disaster was there was a nuclear power plant just outside the city of Pripyat in Ukraine, and what was happening was the nuclear power plant was running a test simulation of a shutdown. And everything was going fine until one of the cooling systems stopped working. It cancelled itself out, and basically from there on, the reactor slowly went into a meltdown. Now, it didn't take straight away like most people think. The whole process took about 2-3 days until the reactor exploded. But in those 2-3 days, it was the last 2 hours where they only knew the reactor was going to blow up then. So they had 2 hours to evacuate a whole city of Pripyat, which is where the gameplay is based. The sniper mission on COD 4 is based in Pripyat, Chernobyl, where you had to go assassinate Imran Takayev, who was the leader of this, I wouldn't really say paramilitary group, well, it was really a paramilitary group. Causing conflicts in the Middle East. So, Chernobyl happened in 1986. What I know of, there were no recorded fatalities, but the effects of the Chernobyl disaster are still being felt today due to the radiation. I won't go much into it because it'll probably end up taking the whole video, but all that I'll say is the animals and the wildlife and the plants that are living there, well, not living, but are there, are not being damaged by the radiation. They're actually being evolved by the radiation. But I'm not going to go into gigantic amounts of detail because that's what I did on my first commentary, and the first commentary ended up being too long for the video, so you would have been sat with about 10-15 minutes worth of blank screen. So, when it happened, excuse me. Basically, what ended up happening was the reactor 4 of the Chernobyl power plant blew up, releasing radiation across Ukraine, and ended up actually going into a radiation cloud which went across Europe and dissipated over the Atlantic Ocean. So basically what ends up happening is the wildlife and the plants around the Chernobyl plant and around Pripyat are evolving, using the radiation to help them evolve quicker, which we as a species cannot do. We do not have the capacity to evolve in a matter of years. It takes lifespans upon lifespans of human beings and research to actually help us evolve as people. So now that I've got the backstory out of the way, Chernobyl Diaries. And now Chernobyl Diaries is a film which is coming out in the US on May 25th and is coming out in Europe on June 22nd, I believe. The film is being produced by the person who produced the first Paranormal Activity film. And the film goes like this. It's a group of friends who want to go on a road trip. I can't remember where they were going to go. I think they were going to Moscow, I think. But they were going to go on a road trip together. And one of the guys in the group, like the main guy in the group, turns around and says, well, I've got a good idea. Why don't we go to Chernobyl? And basically it gives the whole backstory of Chernobyl, what happened. They only have 2-3 hours to evacuate a whole city. And the plot line of the film is that when they were evacuating, not everybody got out, which technically, if you think about it, is a very, very plausible idea. You've only got 2-3 hours to evacuate a whole city, and the chances of everybody getting out is minimal to impossible. That's how short time they had. So basically it's playing on the idea of a group of friends going to Pripyat, and basically they're about to leave after a day's of photography and shooting, that kind of thing, when the jeep that they came in doesn't start. The wires are all messed up and gone and fried and all that kind of thing. So basically they have to try and hike their way out of there, but on the way hiking out they start getting attacked by people. Now what it's trying to say is that it's doing the typical thing where radiation turns people into monsters. That's why the Hills of Eyes have such a dramatic impact. And before I say anything else about the Hills of Eyes, I have not seen the original. I've only seen the remake about 50 million times, and the remake is gory as hell, and it also has one of the most disturbing films I have ever seen in a movie. So, the Hills of Eyes had the similar premise of radiation, of people being in a radiation zone, i.e. An American nuclear test site, in the small villages that they used to have there. They were still in the houses when they blew it up, and to see what the actual effects would happen on actual people. That's what happened in Hills of Eyes. But in Chernobyl Diaries, in the actual trailer for the film, I personally haven't seen the film yet, this is just my opinion on what the trailer's given us. My actual opinion on the film so far is, I don't know where it's going to be like monsters or stuff. I don't know whether it's going to do a Vanishing on 7th Street. I don't know whether you guys have seen that, where it's just shadows of people who are attacking people, or it could be something a little bit more paranormal, like spirits of the dead in Chernobyl and that kind of thing, which it could actually be an interesting idea. It could be a little bit but it'll be interesting to see what happens, because I am looking forward to the film personally. I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to, what I'm quite nervous about with the film in 2 seconds. But the main reason why I'm looking forward to this film is the whole idea behind Chernobyl. Now, if you don't know already, I am still in college. I've stayed an extra 2 years in college to take a course in public services, which is a research in police, ambulance, fire service. And one of the units that we had to do was understanding a disaster situation. And we all were given research topics, and we were all told we can research what we want. So I chose Chernobyl because it's the one I was most interested in at the time. And basically, after I did that research, a lot more. If you actually do the research to what happened and get a little bit more backstory, it becomes a lot more interesting topic. It wasn't just as straightforward as a reactor blown up. End of. There are still high radiation spots in Chernobyl, in Pripyat as well. That's why people can't go in. But the area which was let's see, radiated. The area which was radiated by the explosion is now being used as a scientific research site to see how radiation affects wildlife in a natural environment. That's why the only reason they're doing it in Pripyat and Chernobyl and the surrounding areas as well, the only reason they're doing it there is because they cannot simulate a natural environment of radiation in that kind of it's such a natural environment that they can't simulate it without having outside factors, which is the main thing in science. If you're doing an experiment of some sort, you've always got outlying factors. Like the one in Chernobyl was like at the time of the explosion, it was like wind speed in a certain direction, cloud cover, how the radiation would react to the environment, how it would react to the people. That's basically what happened. So Chernobyl Diaries, what I'm looking forward to. I do like my horror survival kind of films. Like if you guys haven't seen Quarantine or Wreck, which is the original version of Quarantine, the Spanish version, which is 1,000,001 miles better. It looks mildly like that, but just on a larger scale. If you don't know, Quarantine is based in a apartment, I think in Chicago, but it's definitely based in a small apartment complex, and it plays inside of that. This has a whole city to play around with. Now, I don't know where they're filming it. I have an idea where they're filming it. I think they're filming it in an abandoned town, probably somewhere in Russia. Highly doubt they're filming it in actual Chernobyl. If they are, that's pretty damn cool, and they would also have to get 1,000,001 pieces of clearance to do it. But no, I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to how they build on the knowledge and ideas of what actually happened in Chernobyl, as in the explosion. If they've actually got a twist in the film to say like if the government screwed over the civilians, that would be a bit sick and twisted, but it'd also be really interesting to see play out in the film. Now, things which I am not looking forward to. As I said at the start of the film is being produced by the same person who produced Paranormal Activity. Now, the 3 Paranormal Activity films they've made, I've only really enjoyed one of them, and that was the 3rd one they released. One, yes, it was a prequel, but it was more like actiony horror, if you understand me. The horror was more upfront. The problem with Paranormal Activity 1 and 2, in my opinion, was the horror was too subtle. It wasn't in-your-face horror. But since it's being produced by the person who only did the first one, I'm not too sure whether it's just going to be like really subtle scares, or what I've seen on the trailer so far is always going to be jump out scares. Because it's not a bad thing always having jump out scares, but it helps if you do have those subtle scares. So that's my only worry. My other worry is kind of like what the budget is like on the film, whether it's going to look tacky. If they're using the handheld camera method like Cloverfield and Blair Witch Project used, and like what Quarantine used, if they're going to use the handheld camera, see how that works out. It'll be interesting to see if it is going to use that camera, and it's also going to be interesting to see if that camera actually works in that kind of feature. Actually going off the things that I'm not looking forward to, the one thing which I am looking forward to, there's never really been a film done like this where it's been based on a natural environment and they've done a horror based around it. The closest you really get nowadays is Poseidon, but that was only because I can't remember. I think it's called the Carpathia is the ship that was rescued the survivors of Titanic. I can't remember, but there was a ship off the coast of, I think it was Italy or Greece, which crashed and ended up sinking on the coast, and it killed, I think it was 40 people, I think. But no, that Poseidon and that are kind of close, but there's nothing closer between what actually happened in Chernobyl and what the Chernobyl Diaries is trying to play off. What comes to mind, I can't think of anything which has done something similar to that. Apart from Outpost, if you haven't seen Outpost, mercenaries go to this bunker in the middle of nowhere. They find out this World War II secret that this German scientist was building, blah 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 blah, to make super soldiers and that kind of thing. So that's the only really thing I can really think of that is trying to play against. The gameplay doesn't go right to the end of the mission. Kind of cut short because I can't put it above 15 minutes. So sorry about that. So I think that's it for the video. As I said before, Chernobyl Diaries is out 25th of May and is out in the Europe 22nd of June. So this is RaptueCity signing out for Flexx Central. Please comment, rate and subscribe, and please look forward to the next video. Hopefully some Minecraft and hopefully some variation. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.